If you want to be a high earner or a high achiever, it starts with your mindset. And what I want to do now is go over 10 mindset shifts that you can start making today that all high achievers are doing. And number one is the blue ocean mindset shift. There's a book out there that I highly recommend you read called The Blue Ocean Strategy. And what the Blue Ocean Strategy talks about, this is mainly in terms of entrepreneurship, but you don't have to apply this to entrepreneurship. You can do this even if you work a job. But what the Blue Ocean Strategy is, it says that the majority of businesses out there are operating in what's called a red ocean. It's a bloody ocean where businesses are competing against each other to do the exact same thing. People are just trying to make a little bit of a better mousetrap where you're selling the same product that somebody else does or a copy of somebody else's product. Maybe you try to compete on price. Maybe you try to compete on speed, but you're competing on little things where essentially you have the same business as somebody else. You're direct competitors and you're trying to undercut the other competitor. So you have this limited market share, this market space. And now the companies there are working head to head for the exact same market share, the exact same market space. And it's a bloody competition to essentially the bottom. And what the blue ocean strategy is, it's how can you go from this bloody red ocean to a blue ocean where you have a wide range of opportunities and little to no competition. This is what the blue ocean strategy is. An example of this blue ocean strategy at work would be comparing the old Blockbuster and Family Video, where you had all these movie stores that were competing against one another for your Friday night movie rentals. And then came along Netflix, another DVD rental business. But instead of having a place where you would go to rent a DVD like every other DVD rental business out there, they started off by mailing you the DVDs, and then they started investing in their own technologies to create a movie streaming model. A completely different business model than all the traditional movie rental businesses out there. They created their own market share. They created their own business strategy. They were selling the same thing, movies, but through a whole new market. Because now they created a whole new market of people who wanted to stream or get access to movies on their own terms instead of going to the Blockbuster, instead of going to Family Video. And it was a whole new business model, and they eliminated all their competition. A completely different business model of doing something different. So now, if you want to be a high achiever, the question is not how do you go out and build the next Netflix, but how can you play a game that isn't competing against everybody else, doing what everybody else is doing? Because if you do what everybody else does, you're fighting for a small pie. But if you can start innovating and hustling a little bit smarter, now the question is, how can you create your own success doing something a little bit different? So if you have your own business, the question is, how do you create your own blue ocean? And if you are working to build your own wealth, again, this is the same thing, thinking differently than everybody else. Everybody is working to get a paycheck so they can drive a bigger and fancier car. But if you really want to have the bigger and fancier car without having to worry about the price, you got to create your own income. And if you don't want to go out and create your own business, that means you got to go and invest in other investments, other assets that will pay you, that way now your assets can pay for your car. The second mindset shift that you have to make is going from a scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset. Most of us, most people have a scarcity mindset where we think there's a limited amount of money in the world. There's a limited amount of happiness in the world. And so if somebody else is successful, if somebody else has money, if somebody else is happy, I should hate them because they're taking away the limited amount of success or winnings in the world. When in reality, there's a lot of money in the world. And there's no limit to how much happiness that's in the world. Like, you can be happy and I can be happy. But the problem is when somebody's unhappy, it's very happy to be happy for other people who are happy. Just like that, when somebody's broke, it's very hard for a broke person to be happy for somebody who did get that money. But this is where, again, it starts with that mindset. There's no limit. There's no scarcity of money. There's a lot of money in the world. Yeah, do some people have a lot of that money? Sure. But there's no limit to you getting a piece of that money too. What you have to do is figure out how can you create some value that we can get a small little piece of the money that's in the world. And just like that, happiness is an abundance as well. Now, this is not a mental health channel or topic, but if you're struggling emotionally, you're struggling with anxiety, depression, you're struggling to feel happy, It's not a money thing. More money is not going to make you more happy. More money gives you access to do things that will make you happier. But if you're not happy, you got to go figure out what it is that's making you unhappy. And if you have something deep down, you have issues, mental issues, go get that taken care of. Talk to a therapist, talk to a psychiatrist, talk to a psychologist, do whatever it takes to take care of that, because one of the most painful things that I've seen people realize is that more money is not the solution to make you happier. And when you chase money to chase happiness, and then you get that money, but you don't get the happiness, you get an even deeper and darker hole inside of you. And that's where you got to understand that if you want to be happy, that's different than getting money. More money can allow you to do more things that make you happier, but it's not just going to make you happy all by itself. Number 3 is the work to learn, not the work to earn mindset. And this is a big mistake that so many people make, is that they work to get jobs solely for the purpose of making money, solely for you to go out and buy the nice things. But if you really want to be able to scale yourself, whether it's in your career or in your business, you have to be willing to work to learn, not just to work to earn. That means you have to be willing to go out and maybe get a job where you're not making as much money as you were before, but because you're going to learn a skill, you're going to learn something, you're going to learn a value, a skill that is scalable that you can apply somewhere else. Or maybe you're going to work in a company or in a place where you have more scalability, but it requires you to build the long-term mindset of, now I'm working not just to get a paycheck. And this is so hard because most of us are taught when you go get a job to just look at the paycheck. How much money are you making? What is the salary? But real wealth, if you really want to build wealth, that means you're going to have to work to learn, not just to work to earn. One of our newest hires here at Briefs Media talks about this all the time, because he talks about all the crap that he had to go to in other places because he didn't know anything about digital marketing, digital business, and he would work for these other brands just to learn. He started off, he got roles with big digital brands because he offered to work there for free. He got his foot in the door. Then he got to meet other players in the game, and he offered to work for very cheap. And he had to make a lot of sacrifices to do that. But the reason why he did that wasn't so he could make a lot of money in those positions, but so he could learn. That way he could then go to the next person, to the next brand, and show, hey, this is what I've done. I've done X, Y, and Z. I've learned these things. I've learned digital marketing. I learned how to work with people. I learned how to advertise. I learned how to sell things. I learned how to work with brands. And now because I've done all of this, I built up this huge resume of skills and experience. Now he has the ability to earn way more money because he was willing to work to learn first. 4 is building a long-term mindset. And this one is so difficult because when you grow up with this idea of instant gratification, it becomes extremely difficult for you to see any real success in life, because now all you want and all you see is that instant success. You see people who became rich overnight and you wonder, why can't you have that too? And then that's what you start doing. You start to follow the get rich quick schemes and systems. Now maybe you throw your money into a meme stock, think you're going to get rich, and then as soon as you buy, that's the stock that goes down. You find a cryptocurrency that's on the way to explode, you buy it, you make a little bit of money for a few weeks, and then it implodes and you lose your money. You find a new course or system that's going to show you how to make 6 figures in 6 months. You buy the class and 2 weeks later, you stop taking it and you realize this is not going to teach you anything valuable. Your money's lost there. It's a game where you constantly keep getting lost in that track, when in reality, real wealth is built over the long term, over any sort of whatever you want to call it. I mean, with your investments, investors will beat out the traders over the long term. Traders might win in the short term, but the investors are going to win time and time again over the long term. But that requires you to be investing into an asset for years, if not decades. Building a business is a lot more profitable than starting a quick side hustle that's going to make you a lot of money. But it takes a lot more dedication and sacrifice and risk today to do that. Learning from a class that's going to teach you how to build wealth or invest your money isn't going to be as attractive as 6 figures in 6 months, but you might actually learn a skill like real estate investing or money management or building a business or other skills that will allow you to actually scale your income, but it's not going to be as attractive as everything else. And this is where, unfortunately, getting rich quick is a lot more attractive than getting rich slowly. But getting rich slowly is a lot more of a surefire way to actually get rich. And again, if you want to get rich faster, you got to put in more effort, you got to put in more work, got to take on more risk and try more things in order to do it. But ultimately, you have to have the long-term mindset of, I'm willing to do whatever it takes, whether it takes 1 month, 10 months, or 10 years to go out and get there, because it's a lifestyle change as opposed to just, I'm going to do this for 6 months and see what happens. Number 5 is you got to adapt the growth mindset. And this one is so hard because many of us, or a lot of people in general, like to count other people's pennies, and they're more worried about what other people are getting rather than what they get themselves. And what you'll see is that people are so focused on what other people are getting that they would rather you not become successful than they become successful themselves. And you see this in so many different industries in so many different ways. I remember when I was in college, I was working as a realtor. I was working with these clients who wanted to buy this home. They were very difficult clients, showed them home after home after home after home after home. Finally found them this home that they loved, that they liked, that was within all of the specifications. We're ready to make the offer. We're working on the contract. And I don't know how many weeks or months this is into us working. And the husband and wife who wanted to make this offer sit me down and they say, Jaspreet, okay, we want to put this in the contract. There's only one thing. I said, what's that? They said, we want you to put half of your commission into the deal. We want you to give us half of your commission. I said, why? Again, I was in college. I think I was going to make about $12,000 to $15,000 in commission on this one deal. And they said, we don't think that a 20-year-old deserves this much of a commission, so we want you to give us half, essentially. Now, I was a hardhead back then. I didn't really negotiate or talk, and I said, nope, you can do it yourself. And I walked away. They were more worried about what I was going to make as a broker, as a realtor in this deal. They knew exactly what my commission structure was. Before we even began working together, they had to sign paperwork which said that I was going to split the commission with whoever the sellers were for the property. The money wasn't coming out of their pocket. It was coming out of the seller. So they knew exactly what was happening, but they waited until the last minute because they felt like I shouldn't be making $12,000 to $15,000 off of that one deal. Well, I walked away and they lost the ability to get that home. And so this is that growth mindset of now understanding I need to focus on me, not what everybody else is, and I can have more. It goes hand in hand with that abundance mindset that I can have more money, I can have more success, I can have more happiness, and me being successful is not going to hinder somebody else from becoming successful. You can become successful, and I can become successful. You can be happy, and I can be happy. You can be healthy, and I can be healthy. There's no limit, and this is that growth mindset of, wow, we can all win, but I have to be able to believe that we can all win. And this is that, it's just a different way of thinking when you start to realize, wow, being a hater doesn't do any good for anybody. It doesn't help them, it doesn't help me. In fact, being a hater might help them and it might hurt me. So me hating on somebody else might give them more fuel to want to succeed, while it just keeps me in this negative, like just toxic environment that I'm swimming in, and I'm creating that toxic environment myself. Number 6 is ignore what other people think. And this is so difficult for so many reasons because I can tell you from the traditional Indian culture, this whole idea of what will other people think. I mean, every immigrant brown kid has heard their mom and their aunt and their grandma and maybe their grandfather and their parents and their dad talk about how, oh, what are other people going to think if you do this? What are other people going to think if you act like this? What are other people going to think if you wear this? This is like one of those things. This is one of those sayings that you just hear again and again and again. In Punjabi, they say, oh, ki kahange, lok ki kahange. That's the way that they say it in Punjabi. And it's one of those things you're so bred to hear, that you're always worried about what other people will think. And I heard it so many times that I became so fed up with it that I stopped caring completely. That I was like, you know what? Let me go out and give people a reason to talk about me. You get so fed up with that. And when it comes to money, what other people think, oh my God, people love talking. This is what, again, people, this is what they do. But this is not going to pay your bills. People love talking about you. But it's them talking about you is not going to pay your bills. So if you downgrade from a BMW to a Toyota Corolla, you bet everybody's going to be talking about you. Let them. It's not going to do any different for you. It's not them talking is not going to pay your bills. Them talking is not going to send your kids to college. Them talking is not going to pay for your wife's vacations or whatever she or he wants. You got to stop worrying about what other people think if you want to become successful or happy or really anything in life. Because when you're so worried about what other people think, you become a slave to other people's opinions. And you got to be able to break out of that. Financially, that means when people see you downsize, they're going to make fun of you. But that also might require you to do some things that, people might think you're weird. When I was in high school, I started playing this Indian drum called the dhol. And being an entertainer or working in the entertainment business, in the traditional Indian culture, is like something that low-class people generally have done. And so when I would go and work at these weddings, playing dhol, you would run across traditional-minded people like that wouldn't even want to make eye contact with you because they would consider you such a low-class person, almost like not even a human, because you're just working in the entertainment business. Now, we were having fun. Like, we were high school kids, college kids, working at weddings, having a good time. You were making decent money, but you would find people that were just so stuck on this idea of status and pride that they wouldn't even want to talk to you. There was one event that me and my friends were working at. We were waiting to play the drum, and there was this elder gentleman there who didn't want to come up to us and tell us to start playing. Instead, because we were so low class as the entertainers, the drum players, he had a bag of pennies and nickels. He stuck his hand in the bag and would just start throwing pennies and nickels at our faces, saying, essentially, get started. That way he wouldn't have to speak to us. And so this is where, if you're so focused, if I was so focused that, oh my God, what are people going to think of me if I do this? I would have never done that. If I never played that drum, I would have never gotten to know the DJs. If I never got to know the DJs, I would have never entered the event planning business. If I never ever entered the event planning business, I wouldn't have money to start investing in real estate when I did. If I didn't start investing in real estate, I wouldn't have become a realtor. If I didn't become a realtor, I would have never gotten involved with wholesaling real estate. If I didn't start wholesaling real estate, I would have never gotten involved with the internet and e-commerce because that wanted me to go into that industry. If I'd never gotten involved with the internet and e-commerce, I would have never ended up here on YouTube. So you got to be willing to just do what's right for you. The world loves talking. Go look at any Facebook ad or Instagram ad. What do you see? People hating, because people hate when other people are trying to do something, trying to succeed, trying to achieve their dreams. Why are people running ads? Because they want to grow their business. People hate it. And it's just the way the world is. So let people talk. They're going to talk. That is what people are professionals at. But the haters are not going to be the ones that are paying your bills. So at least give them a good reason to hate. I'm going to jump back into the video in just 1 second. But before we do, if you are an investor and you're looking for an easy and free way to stay up to date on what's happening in the top financial news, from the economy to the housing market to the stock market to the crypto market to the global economy, then you have to check out Market Briefs. Market Briefs is my free financial newsletter that I created that will keep you up to date on what's happening in the financial news. You can read the newsletter in less than 5 minutes every morning. It's a fun and easy to read email, and it's completely free. So if you haven't joined Market Briefs yet, I got the link to how you can join down in the description below. Number 7, make yourself replaceable. And this is, again, whether you're an entrepreneur or whether you work for a company. If you work for a company, guess what? You are replaceable, no matter how good you are. You could be the most valuable employee at the company, and that's a very good thing. I'm not saying don't make yourself valuable. But what I'm saying is also have that value of replaceability for yourself, because if you were to die, or if you couldn't go into work tomorrow, and I know this is very dramatic, but if something happened and you couldn't get into work tomorrow, your company would have an ad out to find a replacement tomorrow, the same day, especially if you're very valuable. Now, again, I'm not saying don't make yourself valuable. You need to work to make yourself valuable. That way you can make the most money, provide the most value, learn the most things, and have the most ability to scale and grow within the company. But everybody's valuable. Even the CEO is replaceable at a company. But when I say make yourself replaceable, what I mean is you got to do something to make sure your family is still taken care of if you can't go into work tomorrow. Because if you don't work, you're not going to keep getting paid. And this is where now owning the assets is so important. Owning the rental properties, owning the stocks, owning whatever it is, your investments, having that wealth cushion. And it's not going to happen tomorrow, but it might happen over the next decade, where now you're working to make money. That way you can own these assets. That way, if hopefully nothing happens, but if something were to happen to you, your family is still okay. That's what I mean by making yourself replaceable. Same with your own business. If you are an entrepreneur, you have to make yourself replaceable in a company. If you are not the best CEO for your company, you want to fire yourself and bring on a new CEO. Yeah, you still own the company, and that's the point, is you want to grow the profits. But if you're not cut out for it, bring somebody else on. And if you want to really be able to build a real business that you can sell, you have to make yourself replaceable. That was one of the big mistakes that I made in my early businesses because I had no idea what a business was. I just created a job for myself. And it was cool. I was making money. But if I wasn't working, I wasn't getting paid. And so if you want to make yourself replaceable in a business, that means you have to be able to pluck yourself out at some point. That's how you build a real business. It's the same thing whether you're working a job, whether you're working a business. You have to make yourself replaceable financially. That way, if something were to happen, the finances of your family can continue to survive. Number 8, plan for the worst, prepare for the best. And this is a mindset shift because, well, things will go wrong. It's life. And you want to make sure you can understand that, but also be able to capitalize on that. So what does that mean? Let me give you some real life examples. Recessions happen. They're a part of our economic system. We've seen recessions happen pretty much every decade for the last century. In fact, the longest period in our modern economic history without a recession was between the 2008 crash and the 2020 pandemic. That was the longest period in our modern U.S. history without a recession. So what does that mean? If you plan for the worst, prepare for the best, well, if you prepare, you can capitalize on recessions because recessions create more millionaires than any other time. Market crashes create the opportunities to build huge amounts of wealth in a short period of time because when you have these economic slowdowns, investments, assets go on sale because people are panicking. They never saw it coming. They are blindsided by this recession that nobody knew was going to happen ever. And people start panic selling and you see good investments drop down. And sometimes you can buy these investments for pennies on the dollar. And if you're prepared, well, now you can be the one that comes in and buy these investments for a huge discount. But that requires you to be prepared when times are okay. So prepare for the worst, plan for the best, be ready for good times, but also be ready for bad times as well. Now, one thing is that financial side, but that also means the practical side of preparing for the worst. Have insurance. Business insurance if you own a business. Landlord's insurance if you're investing in rental properties. There's a lot of different types of business insurances. Protect yourself. Get health insurance. Get life insurance. Not all life insurance is good. Some I prefer term life insurance, not whole life insurance. Term life insurance, I look at it like a bridge insurance where I don't have the assets to support my family if I were to die tomorrow. And so I want life insurance for 10 years until I can build my wealth, or 20 years, whatever it might be. I prefer that type of term insurance. If nothing happens to you, you don't get anything, but you also save a whole bunch of money on the insurance payments because I'd rather you invest your money, build your assets, and not have to rely on an insurance company to build your wealth. But that's just me. People have different opinions. Make whatever other opinions you want. Just protect yourself and prepare for the worst. By the way, if you do want to learn more about term life insurance, you can check out my affiliate partner down in the description. And what that means is if you use my link down in the description, I will get compensated. You're not required to use them. Just do your own research. Just wanted to give you that as a resource in case you are looking. Number 9, find the opportunity in the bad. And there are so many different ways to do this. Like the most obvious are when you see a stock market crash, some people lose a lot of their wealth. You see some people lose their retirement funds, people lose their life savings, but that also creates opportunity for you to come in, buy good investments for half off. That's the opportunity in the bad. When the 2020 pandemic hit, people were losing everything when the stock market was crashing. And some people were coming in and buying for pennies on the dollar. When the 2008 crash happened, people lost everything. People lost their homes. But real estate prices were then also selling for huge discounts. When I started investing in real estate, it was after the 2008 crash. It was around 2011 when I started investing in real estate. I'm in Michigan, not currently, but I was in Michigan then. And I was buying real estate for literally 90 to sometimes 92, 93% off. And it was because, well, there was bad things going on, but it also created opportunities. It's the same thing in business. be able to find the opportunities in the bad. I had, when I was starting Minority Mindset, I'll give you that example. I started off Minority Mindset just with an Instagram page. And the Instagram page grew to around, I think it was about 17,000 followers. I think it was actually 17,400 followers. And we didn't really have any other presence. I was thinking about starting a YouTube channel. I had like a couple videos here and there, but it wasn't anything significant. Some YouTube videos. And my Instagram page got hacked into and essentially deleted. I lost access to my Instagram account. Now, I had spent a lot of time building this Instagram and just talking about the stuff that I talk about, financial education and entrepreneurship and all the things that I wish I would have learned when I was getting started. And when that got hacked and deleted, I realized I needed to have more of my own personal brand, because you could delete my followers, because back then, Instagram, this is like, 2015, 2016, like that time, where Instagram was a very different place, and you would just post other things. Like I was posting images of other things and writing about it. So people didn't really know who I was. And that's when I was like, you know what? I need people to know who I am. That way I can protect my brand even better from things like hackers. So that was a big motivation for me to start making YouTube videos and start talking, right? It was an opportunity which was then created out of that hacking. So it's all about now, how do you find the opportunity in the bad? In fact, the reason why I started Minority Mindset at all was because I got scammed. In a previous company, I was running an e-commerce company. I got scammed when I was running that company, and I was so fed up from dealing with scams and just crap because I didn't have guidance as an entrepreneur. So when I got scammed for that time, which was, now I've been scammed many times after that, or since before that. After I got scammed running my e-commerce company, I was so fed up that I started this thing called Minority Mindset to help other people not get screwed over the way that I was. And that then grew to what it is today. Finding the opportunities. Bad things happen. It's life. But how do you find the opportunity? Even in manure, right? You can grow some of the best fruits with the nastiest manure. So it's finding the right opportunities in the manure. And I don't know why I gave that example, but you get the point. And finally, mindset shift number 10. I don't even know if this is a mindset shift, but more of just a mindset, is grit. Grit is the ability to get punched in the face, to get knocked down, to get screwed over, and continue to get back up and keep going. This is one of those traits that you see every successful person have. And this is going to be whether, again, you're an entrepreneur or not an entrepreneur. You have to have grit. If you're working a job, you need to have grit, because guess what? Even working a job, you got to deal with a whole bunch of crap. You got to deal with the company politics. You got to deal with everybody else's crap. And then when you're working to build your wealth, you got to take the money and you got to invest it. And that means you got to deal with the crap of investing. That means you're going to have to deal with the down market cycles. You got to deal with the bad investments that you got to make. That means you might have to deal with bad tenants. You have to deal with all the crap that comes with putting your money to work. Losing money is a part of the process. The goal is to make way more than you lose, but every investor loses at some point. But you have to have the grit to not start crying and complaining and just give up when that happens. It's getting back up, doing it again, learning, doing it again, learning, doing it again, learning. When it comes to building a business, it's the same thing. Building a business is hard. And every step of the way, you got different challenges. Making your first $10,000, that's hard. And that's a completely different challenge and skill set from going from 10,000 to 100,000. And you might think, oh man, when you make 6 figures a year, it all gets better. No, go from $1 million or 100,000 to $1 million. Now you got a whole new set of problems and challenges. Go from $1 million to 2 million to 5 million, and a whole new set of challenges. But you got to have the grit to keep getting up, even when things suck, even when it feels like the whole world is against you. Even when it feels like everybody hates you, even when it feels like everybody's talking crap about you, even when it feels like nothing is going right, to keep getting back up, putting in the reps, putting in the work, doing what it takes, because that's what you want to do to get to your goals. That's what grit is. And that's, unfortunately, I don't think it's a mindset. This is really a lifestyle. But if you want to build that level of wealth, you got to be willing to put in that level of grit. Once you start your wealth journey, the next question is going to be, how do I grow my wealth? How do I double my wealth? Because the faster that you can grow and double your wealth, the wealthier you're going to be. because now you can just keep stacking and doubling and growing and compounding and building your wealth. And there's a couple different ways that you can do that. And you don't have to quit your job and go and become an entrepreneur to do this, but